All right, so this is basically just a what do we call it, a response video, but I made a comment on the Blacklist Universe when he redid um, one of the characters from Concord, and I mentioned that I had done character design, and he said, "Hey, you should totally um, do your own video on the topic." Well, I'm not exactly an artist. I mainly focus on writing. I am a published author. I have written a couple different comics over the years, and one of the comics that I worked on, and technically I'm still working on, is known as the Tales of Avalon. And I thought, well, what the hell? I might as well, you know, nut up and discuss the character design of one of the characters. Her name is Dalila. It's a different spelling because there's no E and no H. She is one of, well, I wouldn't really call her a super main character, but she is basically the narrator of the first. I mean, technically speaking, she's the narrator of like two whole graphic novels. Uh, and I don't want to give too much away because I mean, I'm still working on it. But as you can see here, she is a hyena, and she's actually a brown hyena, one of the true hyenas. And of course, everybody say, "Oh, you're a furry," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I've never denied that part. I mean, literally look at my screen name. If that's the only insult you can come up with, really, you gotta start working on that." But one of the main reasons why I don't like dealing with human characters is, well, there was a very famous, I shouldn't say famous, but it depends on what circles you run in, but there was a very, I guess, famous or infamous tweet, a couple years ago, where somebody asked an anthropomorphic artist what race their otter was, and it was just the dumbest back and forth ever, because the person asked, "Well, what race is your otter?" And the guy was like, "Well, he's an otter." "Well, yeah, but is he white, black, Hispanic, Latinx?" And the artist is like, "No, no, no. I don't think you understand. He's an otter." Anyway, so what we're looking at is Delilah. As I mentioned before, she is the primary narrator of some of at least two of the uh, graphic novels that are slowly being worked on. She was uh, she's had a design before, but basically, um, Betsy Nichols, who is an artist, mainly she posts on, well, I mean, now she posts primarily on Blue Sky and Instagram, but uh, she started doing some work. We started working together here and there uh, back, God, 20. I mean, we've known each other for quite a while, but basically, what we did is we refined the design to make it simpler and more on par with how a brown hyena actually looks versus some of the previous designs. And basically, when you're dealing with character design, and I can guarantee you Blackest Universe will will agree with me, is that one of the things you want to focus on is keeping the design as simplistic and as easy to replicate as possible because you want people to be able to draw the character in fan art. You want people to be able to cosplay the character, things like that. So what we did was we took her design, changed it up a little bit, and as you can see here, like in her character reference, you can see some of her expressions, how uh, her ears move when, and how she expresses curiosity, laughter, and of course happiness. And that's one of the other more fun parts about dealing with anthropomorphic characters is that uh, like I shouldn't say they tend to be more expressive than humans because you're not relying solely on basically the neck down when it deals with expressions and body language. You had the ears in there because the ears and the ears and the eyes and generally the way that the face moves can indicate a much more wider variety uh, 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 of like expressions and just generally speaking, like how the character's feeling within any given scene. So, like, you can have the individual ears move, they can twitch, they can lay flat. You can have one sitting up, one sitting down. Um, the head, like, if anybody has ever had like a German Shepherd, you know that, or just really any dog, period, like, or even a cat, you can kind of see how like their head will accent, will basically accentuate their uh, the way they react to things. Like if you've ever had a German Shepherd, like if they are confused, both ears will pop up and their head will tilt to the side, and it adds to basically how a character is not only feeling but how they are trying to inherently process what they're giving, what they're the information that they're given or the situation. um but as you're looking at the reference, I mean, you can definitely tell that yes, the character does age quite a bit, and there's you know, one of the things too is that you can kind of tell where they go from um how do I explain this? Like they evolve into a more motherly character over time, and eventually when the actual comic begins, they are basically a like motherly or grandmotherly figure at that point. And you can see that through not only the way the character looks between uh, the different single poses, but especially at the end where you see like you can see age lines. Um, Generally speaking, how do I say this? Um, like their body gets inherently thicker. Um, I mean, all over, and eventually, like, like you can like in the images itself, in the image itself, you can see how they go from much younger and slender to a more motherly figure to a more grandmotherly figure, especially when you take into account like like with age lines. You can kind of tell with the eyes. That's one of the key things. The eyes are the window to the soul. That's a long. That is a very old expression. I have no idea who said it first. Don't ask me who said it first, because I don't really know, but you can, but like uh, uh, in the final like main character image, you can see that there's like wisdom behind the eyes of having lived long enough to have to have not only children but grandchildren, maybe even great grandchildren. Um, but more than likely, but I mean, even in the story, it's it's children and grandchildren.